Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Anyegolu. Now, in Greek mythology, Pandora opened a box that she was told not to open, and out flew greed, envy, poverty, hunger, basically all the bad things in the world which had remained hidden until then. Well, the one thing that some say should have been included in what flew out of Pandora's box is the Nigerian politician, on whose wings could have been attached some of those bad things that emerged from the box, including greed, envy, corruption, insensitivity, mismanagement, bald-faced lying, and the list could go on. And of course, as Nigeria's crucial 2023 presidential election draws ever nearer, critics say the issues on the table are not how to save the country from the many development challenges it faces, but which part of the country the next president is going to come from. In other words, self-interest, not the interest of the country. But there are those who argue that zoning is actually fundamentally about the interest of the country, and that without it, there wouldn't be a sense of justice, and that could be very dangerous for peace in Nigeria. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by a leading member of the APC and former governor of Kebbi State, Senator Adamu Aliero. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles.
Before we get into some of those other issues, looking at Nigeria 61 years after independence, do you think that this is a better country today than it was in 1960, or have things got worse since that time?
Certainly it's a better country than it was as far back as 1960. Remember, immediately after independence, we had crisis. We started with the Weti crisis in the southwest as a result of the election between Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Chief Akintola. Thereafter, Nigeria went into civil war, and we lost close to about 2.5 million people, some through starvation, some through military conflict. Thereafter, we went through a very prolonged military rule that lasted for over 20 years. And then in 1999, democracy was restored. And since then, we have been under democratic governance. Certainly there have been challenges, but by and large, we made significant progress.
Right.
Whether you're talking about infrastructure, whether you're talking about education, whether you're talking about health, you cannot deny the fact that there have been a lot of improvement in the living standard of our people.
Well, I think
remember our population was just about 55 million people at the time we won independence.
Right.
Now it is well over 200 million.
But I think I was talking about the period immediately after 1960, when Nigerians took over the reins of office, and between 1960 and 1965, because even President Buhari, who I've interviewed several times, has said that that period was the golden era of Nigeria, and that if you compare it to the time I did the last interview with him, which was a few years ago, that Nigeria is essentially a failed state. Those were his words.
Yeah, quite okay. If you consider 1960 to 1965, I could say it was the golden era for Nigeria, because we had all it takes to develop it as a country. The three regions were quite autonomous. They were not relying on the center. They generate enough revenue to take care of their fundamental needs and even save money. Some of them even established universities. The best universities are established by the regions. Ahmadu Bello in the in the north, University of Ibadan, University of Ife, University of Nsukka were all established by regional governments. Thereafter, we witnessed tremendous increase in the number of students wanting to go into universities. And the oil boom came. When the oil boom came, we forgot about agriculture. We concentrated heavily on how to spend the money we got from the oil wells. We were importing all sorts of things, from toothbrush to rice to sugar and to what have you. And this is why we are where we are in today. So many things that should have been done properly were not done. There was no strategic planning. And that's why Nigeria is in a mess today. And it will take a lot of time to really correct all the ills of the past.
But do you think that process of correcting those ills has begun? Because again, you were a governor for 8 years, you're in the Senate. I mean, you've had your APC party has been in power for the last 6 years. What evidence can you show that the process of correcting those structural imbalances have begun?
Yeah. During this military era, the federal structure of government was completely destroyed, and we now have a unified system of government instead of
a federal system.
Federal system of government. And we in the National Assembly are currently working on what we call on the devolution of powers to ensure that we decentralize power to the states. We devolve more powers to the states so that they will be able to perform some of the responsibilities that are currently being performed poorly by federal government. Take, for example, the issue of security. I heard what the previous speaker was saying, that within 2 weeks we will be able to do something on security if we want to do it. It's not true. It requires constitutional amendment to amend the 1999 Constitution to allow state police to be established. And we are currently doing that. And after the National Assembly has finished its own assignment, it will send it to the states for concurrence. And at least we need 2/3 majority of the total number of state assemblies to pass that before state police can be established. No doubt that security is the #1 priority of any government. The primary purpose of government is to maintain law and order. Any government that fails to do that, then it's not doing its responsibility. And this government is doing all it can to ensure that security is maintained nationwide. Unfortunately,
well, clearly all it can isn't enough. Is it?
Yeah. But the challenges are enormous. Remember, there was no plan whatsoever to deal with insurgency. But now, at least, we have something on the ground to deal with insurgency. Right. And that's why we have many insurgents in the northeast that have surrendered. Close to about 2,500 of them, based on what I heard the governor of Borno state was saying. Even in the northwest, where we have the bandits or the terrorists with AK-47, some of them are now surrendering their arms voluntarily. Of course, quite a number of them have not, but they are now under intense pressure. The military now is using Tucano aircrafts to bomb their formations, to bomb all where they are staying. And if we continue doing that in the next 2 to 3 months, I think banditry or terrorism, as we currently call it, will be a thing of the past.
Right, okay. Well, we're going to be watching that one closely, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, the fact, of course, is that there is no, beyond the things that you talked about, people, giving up their arms and surrendering and so on. I mean, there are a host of reasons why they're doing that, and it's not clear that it's necessarily pressure from the government that's making them do it.
It is pressure from the government, certainly.
Right, okay.
Because, well, they have been starved.
Right.
The supply has been cut off, whether of fuel or of food or anything, and they have been under intense pressure. They have been bombarded severely, and they see no reason why they should continue doing what they are doing. And they are now surrendering, both in the northeast and also in the northwest, and even in the north central.
As I said, we'll have to see how things evolve in the next few months. But we've got a couple of minutes before we have to take a break, but we'll come back and keep talking. Bringing things a little bit up to date politically, how much is this a dramatic time in Nigeria, with the politics of the country starting to heat up ahead of that ballot in 2023, and things like poverty are simply part of a historical footnote, and in reality are not changing the needle in the national discourse, as Father Ehusani was saying just a few minutes ago.
This government has made a policy statement that it wants to lift 100 million people out of poverty, and it has started doing that through social investment program being run by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development. And a lot of people that had not gotten 10,000 naira from government are now getting close to about 500,000 naira. And agricultural policies of government have been sharpened. The CBN is now coming with Uncle Baroa program, empowering farmers to grow food so that we don't have to import anymore. This is how we can reduce poverty, creating employment, creating wealth in the society. This is the only way you can do that. And related to that is also the issue of infrastructure that we talk about. After security, the next thing is infrastructure, railway, power, roads. I think it would be wrong to say that Nigerian roads are bad everywhere. It's not true.
Let me ask you to please pause. Okay. We'll continue when we come back, but I've got to take a break. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with the leading member of the ruling APC party and former two-term governor of Kebbi State, Senator Adamu Aliero. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Enyigolu. My second guest today is the former governor of Kebbi State and former minister of the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja, Senator Adamu Aliero. Senator Aliero is currently a member of the upper house of Nigeria's National Assembly under the ruling APC party and chairman of the Senate Committee on Works. He's also the proprietor of the largest rice mill in Nigeria, the Labana rice mill in his home state of Kebbi. And Senator Adamu Aliero is still with me in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Now, before we went on break, you were talking about infrastructure.
Yeah, certainly.
And during the break, we were talking about the progress that is being made with roads across Nigeria. You are the chairman of the Senate Committee on Works, so tell us more.
Yeah, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. As far back as 1999, the contract was awarded. Later on, it was revoked. It was given to by Courtney under public-private partnership, and government realized that no progress was made on that. It revoked the contract and decided to award it to Julius Berger and I think RCC. Except today, I could say they have done close to about 75% of that road. Then Shagamu to Benin is another very good road. I went through that road last year. By now, it must be almost 80% completion stage. The second Niger Bridge, which has been on the drawing board for over 40 years, this government took the bull by the horn by not only starting the contract, but by ensuring that close to about 75% to 80% of that bridge is now completed. Now, Port Harcourt Enugu Expressway, that was completed as far back as 1982, had not gone under any rehabilitation since then. Now, this government has done close to about 50% of the rehabilitation of that road. Then Enugu Auka, last year I went through that road. By now, I'm sure they have done close to about 60% rehabilitation of that road. And which other road again? Ife, Ibadan Road, is almost completed. Then Lagos, Abeokuta Road is now one of the best roads in the country. And coming to the northern part of the country, Kano Maiduguri Expressway, dual carriageway, 95% of that road is completed. The only portion that has not been completed is where we have the Boko Haram, enclave, and immediately the government is able to solve that problem of Boko Haram. They will complete that road. It's about 400 kilometers. Now, Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano is awarded to Julius Berger, and work is currently going on. That road is going to cost federal government close to about 1.2 trillion naira. It's going to be complete reconstruction. They are going to remove virtually everything. The road is going to be reconstructed. Now, Sokoto Kontagora Road is completed. It's also another 400 kilometers, even though it's single dual carriageway, unlike Abuja, Kano, or Kano, Maiduguri. So if you are saying that the roads are bad, it means you are closing your eyes to what this government is doing.
Well,
formerly, these roads were in bad shape. This government started reconstructing them.
Right. Anyway, the point is
they
this.
only concentrate. People only concentrate on what has not been done.
Yeah, but it is
not fair.
Yeah, but it is the responsibility of government
Even
in any case to maintain roads.
Even though I'm not spokesman of the government, but I have the responsibility.
Well, you're a member of the governing party. So,
I am a member of the ruling party, and also as my position as the chairman of the committee on works, I have to state what has been done by this government.
And you're giving that based on facts, you're saying?
Based on facts. I saw it myself, not that I have been told.
Okay, but let me ask you to wear your hat now as a member of the ruling APC party and somebody who's a senator, because obviously you're not only a member of the party, you know what's going on in there, but you're also in touch with the people because you represent the people.
Correct.
How much of an uphill battle is the APC facing for re-election in 2023? Because person on the street interviews, and we as media people have done a lot of those, suggest that the rejection rates for the APC are higher than ever before, and that the APC has very narrow paths to victory in 2023. What is your reaction to that?
I must confess that it's not going to be easy for APC to win 2023 election, because in 2015 when we came in, the masses, the people of this country, had very high hopes that President Buhari, they see him as an idol, and they see him as a symbol that can solve Nigeria's problems. But now it's not going to be on the ticket anymore. He is finishing, and another person is coming, and that person must campaign based on his own credentials. And if he has good credentials, he can win.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't feel that President Buhari has delivered on the promises he made, and by extension that the APC has not delivered on the promises they made.
Some of the promises have been delivered, but to a large extent, on the issue of security, we are yet to be where we want to be. But if we maintain the tempo, if we sustain what we are doing now, within the next 3 months, I think we will be able to deliver.
Okay, let me come in here because we've got about 2 minutes. There's things I want to get to before we end.
Okay.
We've seen the main opposition PDP party zone the chairmanship of the party to the north, which suggests that the presidency will be zoned to the south in the PDP. What's likely to happen in the APC?
Well, certainly zoning is an accepted principle as far back as MPNDs. It was National Party of Nigeria in the 1979 election that came up with zoning. And since then, it has been accepted as a matter of principle, even though it is not constitutional. It's not constitutionalized, but the parties have accepted it in order to maintain some balancing.
No, I understand all that, but,
Yes.
but is it your sense
Nigeria
that
is
the
a country of
APC
diversity.
is likely to zone it to the south?
Nigeria is a country of diversity.
Right.
If you have president from the north, then certainly the vice president should come from the south. And if you have the president from the south, the vice president must come from the north. You cannot have the two in one region.
Well, that's pretty obvious.
Yes.
Based on tradition and custom.
Equity, fairness, and social justice. The party must do all it can. And
Right.
even the constitution said that
But is it likely to be a southern president that will be, it will be zoned to the south, or will it remain in the north?
it depends on the system of primaries the APC will
Okay,
adopt.
so basically,
If we end up taking direct primaries, which is currently the
very, very quickly, Right.
which is currently the main
right?
the main thing the National Assembly is talking about.
Okay. I'm afraid I have to interrupt you. You're taking
But
a bit longer
but
than
I
I
wanted
wanted
to finish.
you to, but I want to say thank you very much indeed, Senator Adamu Aliero. That's it. Bye-bye.